Okay, guys, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Couple of strippers on stage with me up here.
It's my first time.
Let's go ahead and have a good discussion about this. Before we came up, Ron made the comment that it's going to be a couple of guys talking about strip till as if we were sitting at the bar, having a beer, just discussing how we got into strip till and why we're doing it. So a little bit about myself. My name is Sean Arthur. I'm a regional sales manager with Environmental Tillage Systems. You probably know us for the SoilWarrior branded equipment that we sell. ETS has been a company since 2004. Strip tillage is all we do. That's what our complete focus of the whole company is. We have strip tillage equipment that is anywhere from 4 rows up to 24 rows in size. We can do narrow row, 20-inch machine, 22, 30-inch rows, and we got a wide range of ability to customize the machine for whatever your farm would be. So that's a little bit about me and why I'm here. Let's start with you.
My name is Garrett Asmus, and I'm from Rake, Iowa. I'm a 5th-generation farmer. We switched to strip till in 2002. We custom hired it for a while, and then in 2014 we got our own bar and went 100% strip till. We use an all liquid machine, 24 row, and we're 50-50 rotation, corn and soybeans.
Thanks. Ron?
So I farm by Marshall, Minnesota, 3rd generation family farm. Came back to the farm in 2011, conventional tillage. Just kind of that's what my uncle was doing, that's what my father was doing, so I was doing conventional tillage. Just started looking for other things that were out there and kind of wanted to be new, wanted to advance. And I do all my strip till in the fall. Got kind of tired of waiting on the co-op to spread the fertilizer in the fall so that I could come and till it in. Started talking to the guys at SoilWarrior at a couple different farm shows, actually stopped by their facility one day. Happened to arrive right after a sales meeting, so I got the full tour. After I toured their facility, met their people, saw their bars, had researched some other bars online from other parts of the nation. I'm out of Minnesota, these guys are out of Minnesota. It seemed like a great fit, really a great addition to my operation.
Yeah, we've got the booth downstairs. We have a SoilWarrior. The machine that is in our booth has liquid fertilizer and dry fertilizer on it. We've got the team of the sales team that's down there working the booth right now. But Ron and Garrett, we invited them, SoilWarrior invited them to come to the show. They've been great to have in the booth because as farmers are considering strip till, we have been having people walk through the booth the last few days, and these guys have been able to share their perspective on strip till. They're talking about their experience that they've had with SoilWarriors, and it's just fun to hear them share their excitement and talk to guys as they come through the booth. So bringing them down to be part of the ETS sales team for a few days has been good because we constantly have farmers that want to be hearing from other farmers. A salesman can be great, but the pitch is a little bit different when it comes from us versus these guys sharing their firsthand experience. When you got into strip till, was a SoilWarrior your first machine?
No, our first machine was a Gladiator. And it couldn't handle the residue that we were looking for or that we were running into. So we started looking around and we met SoilWarrior, and we were just impressed with the Coulter system and how it handled residue. And then we also liked the weight transfer. So once you have the bar in the ground and running, it transfers the weight off the cart. So it reduces our compaction even more.
On my own farm, I do farm as well as sell for SoilWarrior, and my transition when I went from full width tillage to come over to strip till, I also did not start with a SoilWarrior. At first I wanted to prove to myself that strip tillage was a practice that would work on my acres, so I found the lowest cost machine that I could. It was a different brand, but it was a way for me to see the practice of strip till, and that got me really excited to make the transition for all of my acres. Let's talk about fertilizer a little bit. Garrett, you're running a liquid system on your SoilWarrior. Ron, you're running a dry fertilizer on yours. Have you changed anything with your fertilizer program since you went over to strip till?
So I am not an agronomist. I rely on my agronomist. He builds me a prescription rate map based on my soil samples, based on my yield maps. he builds a prescription rate map where I can prescription rate 2 different products across my field. I don't know if I'm saving money on fertilizer, but I'm changing where I'm placing my fertilizer. Seems to be beneficial. I can see my yields increasing, not the first year, but the second, third, fourth, and the 5th year. It just feels like more efficient with the fertilizer, less erosion. I strip till corn and beans. I strip till where I'm gonna put my beans between my 30-inch corn rows. I just move over 15 inches. I leave my corn stalks stand. When the wind blows in the wintertime, we don't even have a lot of snow right now in southern Minnesota. And the wind blows and the dirt moves. I can watch my neighbors' fields. I'm seeing topsoil move, and I drive past my fields, and it's really not, it's untouched because my stalks are still standing there.
But that's with fall strip till, correct?
I only strip in the fall. Couple of simple reasons is my strip till tractor is my planter tractor. So generally the end of March, the planter tractor has to be on the planter, getting everything hooked up, getting all the bugs worked out again. My strip till machine stays in storage until fall. If I had another tractor, I would possibly do some spring strips, but so far I haven't.
Have you done any spring freshening of your strips, or do you think that that's something you need to be doing?
That's interesting that you asked me that. So far, I've done this for 5 years now, and I've stripped in the fall, and I've went straight into those fall tilled strips in the spring with my planter. And I've been able to get in the field 2 and 3 days before relatives who are still doing conventional tillage. They're out scouting fields, trying to figure out fields that they can get a field cultivator into, which one's dry enough. Once they get it cultivated, they got to wait a day or 2 for the soil temperatures to equalize, you know. And I'm already on my 3rd day of planting sometimes when they're still out hitting the, fields with the field cultivator. So I've gained an advantage by getting my crop in a couple days earlier, maybe some extra GDUs. What was the rest of the question?
No, it's just fun to hear you talk about the progression and what you're doing on your own farm.
The reason I said it's interesting you asked me that is because I talk to these guys and I say, how often do you need to freshen? And one guy might say 1 in 5 years, one guy might say 1 in 10 years. However, last year, for whatever reason, we ended up replanting some soybeans because of poor emergence. And I feel like if I would have had a strip freshener, possibly wouldn't have had to replant those soybeans. So I'm kind of a Facebook marketplace addict, and I found an 8-row SoilWarrior, they call it a Ninja, strip freshener on Marketplace. Ended up talking to the guy, this older gentleman was retiring out, very low acres. He did some tests for Syngenta. Machine was super clean. Talked to Dave about it. He said, looks good. I went and bought it, and I'll be using that for the first time this spring. Have a smaller tractor that I can put that on, and I'm gonna do some strip freshening. I'm gonna leave some unfreshened, some freshened, and I'm hoping to see some yield results there.
It'll be nice to have that option if you get a winter that's giving you some tough conditions in the spring. You can go out there and freshen it up a little bit.
Right. I'm looking forward to it.
But now, Garrett, you do a lot of your strips in the fall, and then you plan to come back in the spring. Is that right?
Yep, so we use 4-10-10 in the fall, and we variable rate apply that for our phosphorus needs. And then being all liquid, we'll have the co-op come and top off with, they'll spread potash to fill up our potassium. And then in the spring, we'll come back and strip our ground going to corn, and we put a variable rate of 32% out there. And we've just found that kind of works the best. You don't have to put nitrogen in the sprayer, and it puts it all right in the strip, right where the seed is.
It's nice to get it in the ground and then have it sealed up right or covered up right away with soil, so you don't have to worry about the volatilization of it.
Yep, and then we can have a more robust chemical program to keep on top of the weeds.
So you're doing 2 strip passes, one of them in the fall with the shank on your edge row unit, and then you drop the shank off and just use the coulters in the spring. Is that right?
Yep. And then if it's a wet spring, we will go in and freshen the corn ground going to beans to break up that crust and dry out the ground a little bit if we need to.
So let's talk about row units a little bit. I touched on it just now. Each of you guys is Soil Warriors. They'll look a little different. You've got the dry tanks on yours. Yours would be the liquid setup in the 24-row configuration, but you're each running the edge row unit, and you've got the shank system.
Yep.
And that same unit on your machine would have just the 3
Coulters,
coulters.
yes. And I'm trying to put my product down 4 inches deep. The coulters work good for my operation. Not a lot of rocks. We picked them all when I was a kid, I guess. It just works. Every farmer in here has got a different field. There's so much adjustability on these things that we could bring a SoilWarrior into anybody's field here. We could adjust it to work.
Yeah. The coulter style row unit's what I'm running on my own farm. Those 3 coulters, you have a lead coulter up front, followed by 2 more tillage coulters that they're physically 6 inches wide on the machine, but you're left with the tillage zone that's going to be about 8 to 10 inches wide and 5 to 6 inches deep. And a common question that we get is that enough tillage? Is it aggressive enough to be mixing the soil, getting your fertilizer into the soil, and then preparing that seed bed for the next spring? And I personally love it. I think it's a great option. I think it's doing everything that I need to do on my farm. But in Garrett's situation, he's got some acres that were a little bit tighter, a little bit more compacted. I'm running large equipment throughout the year when you're spraying and then having the combine. You thought the shank was going to be a little bit better option to get down there and physically rip things open.
Yeah, we run tram lines, or we do our best to. So the planter, the sprayer, and now the strip till bar, they're all on the same exact path in the field. And since we only shift 15 inches, every year it's just a small area where we're driving in the field. And we've just noticed that the shank sometimes gets under the compaction and pulls it up a little better.
As we talk about tractors, the other night when we were discussing this, I heard you kind of open up a little bit about the number of hours that you're putting on your tractor and the changes that the efficiencies that you've got on the tractor side of it.
So I mentioned I'm on a family farm, so I own equipment with my uncle. We own a quad track together. We own a sprayer, field cultivator, chisel plow, stuff like that together. Because we own that quad track together, we keep track of the hours to the 10th of the hour. We put a value on that. We keep track of the gallons per acre. We keep track of the gallons. Every time we enter a field, we write down the gallons when we started, when we finished, just to keep everything fair and equal. When I went to strip till, I reduced a pass with my quad track. Those quad tracks will run sometimes 25 to 27 gallons of fuel an hour. You can break that down. It's a few gallons, couple gallons an acre, whatever. The point is, I'm reducing, we put a $120 value on that 500 horse quad track. That's Iowa custom rate. I'm saving that money because I'm not making that pass. I'm not putting that fuel in there. I'm not putting the compaction on the field because I'm just not out there.
Because you were coming from a ripper pass,
Yep,
and then
I
a
had
cultivator pass in the spring,
Yep.
and then there was a fertilizer pass that had to be accounted for too.
Right, yeah, so you're saving time, you're saving passes, you're saving fuel, you're saving hours on your big tractor. You know, when you go to a dealer and you go to trade in your big tractor, what's the first thing they look at? They look at the hour meter.
Yep.
And if you can save hours on the big stuff, it's gonna save you money. So I pull my 12-row strip till with an 8320R John Deere. The first year I had it, felt like I could have used a little more horsepower. I was spinning a little bit. The tractor was still under warranty. The next year the tractor was out of warranty. I tuned the tractor from 320 to 370 horsepower. I put 2,100 pounds of rear wheel weights on it, and then it handled that machine perfectly. I'm trying to hit 7.5 miles an hour with my machine. I feel like that's where it flows the best. People ask what's going on. I say it's like a little Tasmanian devil back there. You got all this dirt moving around and you're dropping your fertilizer in and then you're tamping it down. And if you're going too slow, it just doesn't get the right effect. And if you're going too fast, you're gonna blow out your strip. But I try to hit about 7.5 miles an hour, and that's the sweet spot.
Yeah. Our recommendation for horsepower requirements is usually 30 horsepower per row. So Ron's pulling a 12-row machine. His 8320 was a little bit light on horsepower to begin with, but then taking it up to around that 370 mark has been a good sweet spot for you.
That was the best money I spent that year.
But you were referencing a quad track before, so you went from having a 500 horsepower quad track burning 25 plus gallons per hour, and now you're back to a nice size front wheel assist tractor that's doing all of your tillage. Cheaper hours, less hours, better fuel consumption too.
And more time at home with the family.
Yeah.
So when we started with our 24-row bar, we were pulling it with our 580 quad track. And we knew that was going to be a little undersized, but it just definitely couldn't do it. And there were times we were 35 to 40 gallons of fuel an hour. So when we went up to a 715 quad, and our fuel usage actually went down from that 35 to 40 to 25 to 30 gallons an hour. And doing all of it in the fall and then one pass in the spring on the corn ground, we're less than 200 hours on our tractor of tillage. So I like to say you're combining your spreader pass, your ripper pass, and your cultivator pass all into one trip through the field.
And having that extra horsepower as you stepped up to the large tractor, it's been fun to watch you running out there in the field because now you're matched appropriately. Running the SoilWarrior at the speed that you want to be running at, whether it's full of fertilizer or empty, on hills or not, you've got it set to give you that consistent experience out there in the field.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember this fall when I called you. Excited because I was going 7.5 or 8, and I could even go 8.5 miles an hour going through the field, and everything was working perfect. The strips were working up real nice, and it was fun that day.
It is fun. What other learnings have you had as you changed from full width tillage over to strip till?
So your fields are going to mellow out. The first year it pulled a little heavy. Sometimes you'd have the bar all the way down, and the wheels on the SoilWarrior wouldn't even be touching the ground. I'm like, well, that's interesting. So my fields are so firm that the SoilWarrior was carrying the weight. By the second and third year, they're mellowing out, so you're softer. By the fourth year, my uncle showed enough interest in it that he said, I want you to do some acres for me. And I said, sure, as soon as I'm done with mine, I'll do some for you. And I did 200 acres for him. I got into his field after doing mine, and I'm like, God, this thing's pulling heavier. You know, I got to go check my machine out, see what's going on back there. Why is it pulling heavier? And I realized his soils were firm. Because of the conventional tillage, they're just tighter. And as you're with your SoilWarrior, you're mellowing it out. So mellowing it out is softer. You're getting better water infiltration.
It seems a little counterintuitive that doing less tillage is giving you softer soils.
But that's the results.
That's the results, because soils that are accustomed to being tilled up so much, you lighten them up, you fluff them up by doing the tillage, but then they collapse right away.
Right.
They pack back down. So the soil health benefits that you're seeing years 3, 4, and beyond, I think are going to continue to pay dividends on your farm.
It's softer soils, but they're firmer. So if you do have a wet year, in the last 7 years, like we don't make ruts in our field anymore, or not as much as the conventional guys. Even though the soil's softer, it holds the tractors better. There's no ruts out there.
Think of it like a sponge that's got a bunch of air pockets in there, but it can still handle the weight of heavy equipment up on top. We talked about the efficiency side of it. I mean, we're doing less passes across the field, so there's efficiencies there. We talked about fertilizer being placed in the strip where you're going to have better opportunity for your roots to take it up. But strip tillage isn't just about efficiency in my mind. Yesterday, we had Mr. David Hula in the booth. He's a big proponent of strip tillage and SoilWarriors. He's achieved world record corn yield, 600 plus bushels on his farm, which is just phenomenal. But I think that speaks about the top end performance that guys can have with strip tillage as well. The soil health benefits as your soils get healthier over a few years. But if we look at like NCGA results, this is something that I've dove into a little bit. Like in 2024, the top national corn grower yield that was recorded in Iowa for 24, they split them out into conventional tillage and strip tillage. They're different categories. Conventional tillage, the top yield that was recorded was about 350 bushel, and the strip tillage category was over 400. So the practice works. Top end performance is there too. So it's not just about saving money. So we've only got a minute or two left here. Is there any thoughts that you would like to share with the room today? And as you've made the transition over to strip till, I hope it's something that you're going to keep doing. I assume.
Yeah, we'll keep
You're not going away from it anytime soon, are you?
I'm planning on 20 years of this.
Okay. Is there any nuggets of wisdom?
One thing I would just say is don't be afraid to try it. Don't sit back and want to strip till and, just never make the decision. If you want to try it, maybe custom hire a guy for a year or two, try it out, see if you like it. This was, 24 years ago, but I was telling Sean, when we started strip tilling, we'd strip till our bean ground going to corn, and then we were still plowing our corn ground going to beans. So now that is counterintuitive, but if you think you want to try it, just have someone strip it, and you won't learn until you do it. And 24 years in, we're still learning.
Ron?
My uncle made the comment when I started. I asked him, I said, hey, how much of this do you want to own? We own equipment together. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, you want to own 25%, 50%? How much do you want to own? He said, I don't want to own none of it. I said, why not? He goes, I am too old to change my tillage practice now. And I thought, wow, that is a bold statement. And I said, that's fine. I said, this is a road I'm going to go down, so I'll own it. I'll run it. It just kind of struck me like too old to change my tillage practice. I don't know if anybody's ever too old to change their tillage practice. I mean, we're advancing. His father ran a moldboard plow. He runs a chisel plow and disc ripper, and I'm doing strip till. It's kind of the future.
I believe it's a better way of farming, I truly do. We have people that'll walk through the booth and they'll look at the SoilWarrior and say, man, I'd love to have one of those. And my challenge is, what are you waiting for? I mean, as a farmer, you only get about 40 chances to grow a crop. So don't waste your years with what you want to do. Make the changes and implement it on your farm now.
Yep, today's the day.
Today's the day. Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.